Welcome to Solo Marvel Champion. A few weeks ago, I made a video called My Favorite Marvel Champions Decks. In that video, I had 3 decks that I was really happy with and had a lot of fun playing. I got a comment on that video saying, we want more. And I'm happy to oblige. So today, I'm going to show you 4 more of my favorite Marvel Champions decks. Now, I'm going to start with the first one I published and had a video for. So the first 3 of these 4 do have videos associated with them already. Down in the comments, you're going to get links to all of these decks and those videos. I'm saving the 4th one, which doesn't have a video, for last. I'm going to start with Gandalf the Grey. This was a pure theme deck because Magik and Gandalf have the same ability. Play with the top card of your deck face up. Once per phase, you may play the top card of your deck as if it was in your hand. Then the only differences come in the differences in the game. With Gandalf, when playing a card this way, he's considered to have printed leadership, lore, tactics, and spirit icons. And that's because in that game, you are bound to certain resources when you play cards. They have resource matching, and Marvel Champions does not. So Magik reduces that cost by 1. So this was pure theme, but it didn't start out that way. I started this deck as a leadership deck, and that's why leadership is listed here. I should have restarted the deck so that there was no aspect up here, but I had only 2 or 3 leadership cards in the deck, and I said, well, let's see if we can make it all gray. So I did and made it all basic, and that was cool, but I didn't actually start this deck right away. I didn't even have the idea to do this until Iceman came out, because Iceman came with the Sauron modular set. So I said, in addition to this deck having all basic cards, I'm also going to replace the Nemesis set with the Sauron set. So I said, okay, anytime a card such as Shadow of the Past references the Nemesis, it's going to be talking about Sauron. The Nemesis side scheme will be Sauron Lives, etc. So that was just a really fun build. Again, purely thematic. And I do have a video here with Expert Juggernaut. So check those out in the description. That deck was a lot of fun to build and a lot of fun to play. Now, Magik has gone on to be my favorite hero, or at this moment, Magik is my favorite hero in the game, but, you know, that can change super quickly. I am looking forward to Silk and Black Panther Shuri, so who knows what the future holds, but at this moment, Magik is my favorite hero in the game, so I am very fond of this deck. Next, we're going to go to Bishop. This is Uncanny Danger Room Instructor. This is another one that was a lot of fun. You know, Bishop likes a lot of resources, and I just wanted this deck to be all about getting these X-Men allies in, putting Danger Room on them. I can do that with, or putting Danger Room training on them. I could do that with Danger Room, or, you know, just play it from hand, whatever. On this deck, one thing, let me go back to Gandalf real quick. The only updates I think I would make to this is I would add Marrow. Now, Marrow is X-Force, not X-Men, so that's not going to get the Utopia ready, but I still like Marrow. Marrow comes in and deals 2 damage and then can attack for 2, so I would probably add that to this deck. Maybe I would add Children of the Children of Adam. That makes all X-Men, X-Force, and X-Factor X-Men, X-Force, and X-Factor. That would make Marrow trigger Utopia, but I don't really need to do that in this deck, so I think I would only add Marrow. Now, coming back to Bishop, I actually had one change pre-written into my description, and that is Phoenix replacing Gentle. So this had been revealed at the time I made the deck, but Magneto hadn't come out yet, so this ally wasn't available. But I would definitely replace Gentle with Phoenix, and I'd probably just add Cyclops. Cyclops gives you the +1 damage for every attack until the end of the phase, and his rifle is an attack. So that's going to be +1, all of your allies attacking, +1, etc. So this deck is really straightforward. Uncanny X-Men, pump up your X-Men allies, pump them up again with Danger Room Training, game time, ready, and heal. So this was a really straightforward deck, but it was a lot of fun. Super fun, and this one has Expert Claw. Again, the deck and that video will be linked down in the description. Next is another theme deck, but it's also really powerful. This is Magneto in my Vader Redeemed deck. Now, this is all because of laser swords. Laser swords, that's a lightsaber. Magneto having his white suit reminds me of Vader Redeemed. So this was just a fun deck to build as well. You get laser swords, you get living dangerously or live dangerously, and now you're attacking for 6 and can ready with stick-to-itiveness. That's a lot of fun. Because of theme, I only have 2 of the 3 potentially triple resources. Self-confidence, that's definitely something Vader has. Vader has self-preservation, but he does not have self-control, and that's why I left self-control out. Super fun deck, and I would actually change a lot about this deck. Like, I never played either of these pool allies, and Legion doesn't really fit in the deck. So all 3 of these can be replaced with Triage, Beak, and Marrow. I would make that change, switch all of these out, and then Barely a Scratch I never played, so I could cut those, and I would probably put Mulligan in place of that, because there are so many good resource sinks. Blackout is a resource sink, Tic-Tac-Toe is a sink, and Stick-to-Itiveness really is too. You're going to use a physical to get that ready. So if you just unload resources without playing any cards, you can then play Mulligan and get a new hand and do it again. You know, use more of your sinks. So I would definitely put Mulligan in, and also I would add, oh, did I lose it? I had this, Plot Convenience. In my Miss Marvel deck, I used Bruno Corelli to store cards for a combo until I was ready to use them, and Plot Convenience does the same thing. With Plot Convenience, I would store my Live Dangerously. It only needs to be an aspect card. I would store Live Dangerously until I got my swords out. So, you know, even if my swords are only giving me +1 until that point, it's still +1. But then I drop Live Dangerously down, and now I'm up to +4, and I can attack for 6, ready, attack for 6 more. That is just a total blast. So definitely Plot Convenience goes in this deck. And I didn't even think about that until I played that Miss Marvel deck. I played that, and I thought, man, I wish there was another way to store cards effectively, and just so happens there is one here in Pool, and that's Plot Convenience. So that's my number 3, Vader Redeemed. It's fun, it's thematic, and I had a blast playing it. I have that Miss Marvel deck, or that Miss Marvel video linked below as well, and then the video I played this with. All right, one deck left, and this is one you haven't seen. It was up on MarvelCDB for a while, but this is my Cyclops deck, a baker's dozen of recursion. Baker's dozen is 13, and this has 13 allies, 13 events, and 13 upgrades. Now that wasn't planned. I got really close to that at one point and then said, that would be interesting if I can make that work out, and I did make it work out. Big thing is, though, I don't have any resources in this deck if I want to keep it 40. Now, that seems ridiculous. I could add 3 and just go up to 43, which I would probably do. I would update this deck in that way. However, the thing with this deck is, it's a recursion deck, yes, but it's got a really tight recursion loop. In this deck, I want to recur Phoenix as much as possible because after she enters play, choose a Cyclops card in your discard pile and add it to your hand. Well, I'm always going to choose, I say always, I'm nearly always going to choose Tactical Brilliance. 2 cost, remove 3 threat from a scheme. There's almost always going to be some threat somewhere. Choose a tactic card in your discard pile and add it to your hand. Well, I certainly have a tactic card I want to recur often, and that is Rapid Response. After an ally you control is defeated, discard Rapid Response, put that ally into play from your discard pile and deal 1 damage to it. Well, guess which ally I want to use that on? Phoenix. So Phoenix dies, comes back into play, and finds Tactical Brilliance. Tactical Brilliance removes some threat and finds Rapid Response. And I play Rapid Response so that I can let her get defeated again and start the cycle over and over again. So while this deck could definitely benefit from the extra resources, I only really want to be doing one thing over and over again, and everything else is just a bonus. So if I can get an extra ally in, or play Psychic Rapport while I have Phoenix in, or do any of these other things, that's just a bonus. So the deck didn't really need those double resources. That said, again, I probably will update this and just add those resources. This deck would also be good at this point with Beak and Triage, but then I would have to do some cuts. I don't know what I would cut. All of these are really good for what they do. Angel is cheap with 2 attack. Armor is a great blocker. Blindfold, I would probably replace. I mean, this is a good card, but I've always found it awkward, and I always forget that I have to put the cards back in the same order, and I mess that up. So I would probably replace Blindfold. Colossus is another great blocker, and he only costs 3 in this deck. Dazzler is going to confuse, and that's always awesome. Maria Hill is not an X-Men. She's here because I'm playing Leadership. This could be one that I replace. Notice, too, that I don't have any of the supports. This isn't running Forge because I'm not running Utopia. Utopia would probably be good in this deck as well, so I could add that. Then we get, Phoenix is our signature. Pixie, Polaris, another great blocker, but she could also just put that tough on me. Professor X, great at removing threat and another confuse. Psylocke, great attacker and gives me another confuse. And why would you want to go down in Scott? Well, Scott only has a recovery of 3, but he has this action, search your deck for a tactic upgrade and add it to your hand. That could be any tactic upgrade, but it could be Rapid Response. If I haven't found that, I couldn't get that out. So I do like going down in Scott. Sunfire, just so good. Anytime you have a villain with an attachment that you can remove with a hero action or response, and Wolverine, great for piercing. He can stick around pretty much forever. So what would I cut to get those other two in? I could probably replace Maria Hill and put Triage in. And who would I get rid of? I might get rid of Colossus for Beak, just to lower the curve, make it a little easier to play. And I would go ahead and add 3 doubles, and I would add Utopia up here. And of course, I don't have to ready Scott, right? I don't have to ready Cyclops. I could ready any of my allies. So those are the changes I would make to that deck. This deck is linked down below, but I don't have a video for it yet. Of course, right now I'm trying to get all of the heroes on the channel that I haven't had on the channel yet, so that at some point you could go and see any hero in the game being played. So this deck will come out, or I should say this hero will be on the channel eventually, and when he is, it's going to be this deck, although it will be the updated deck. So those are 4 more of my favorite Marvel Champions decks. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you play one of these decks and have a good time with it. Let me know that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a marvelous day.